I want to know why you believe that having an audio only podcast just generally is a lighter lift. Whether that's you're trying to tackle it yourself or you're outsourcing to an editor. What is your thought process on just production in general?
Yeah, I think I was going to mention something about where it comes with creativity on like CGI being a crutch, right? And I think when you strip away to just audio, CGI being a crutch in new movies today versus like actually relying on good content, right? And I think that you have a similar effect with audio, right? You have less to work with, so you need to be maybe a little bit more creative with keeping the audience engaged. And that goes right into production, right? Because like we said, being audio only, you only need to worry about the audio. When you're working with video, you need good lighting, you need a good camera, you need to always be on, right? If Jay and I start to get bored as you're talking and we start to drift, like that's going to look bad for us, right? Just like presidential debates when George H.W. Bush checked his watch, that like ruined the debate for him, right? And so I think it's with no video, it could be less draining. But then with editing, you don't need to worry about syncing audio and video either. You don't need to creatively cut, and you can do those audio pickups, right? Sometimes they're called drop-ins, sometimes they're called audio pickups. But with video, like you got to have the right exact pose, or you need to be wearing the right shirt,
wearing
right?
the same clothes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so with audio, you don't have to worry about any of that. It's a lot easier to do those pickups later. And so the truth is that creating a podcast is a grind either way, and you want to be consistent above all else. And unless there's a compelling reason to add video, you don't want it to hinder your ability to stay consistent.
Jay, I want to bring you in here. Thoughts on the production process. I know you, hired an editor. I want to hear a little bit more about that and just kind of what is the complexity? How has the complexity changed now, given that you previously did an audio show for the last several years?
Definitely more complex, definitely more expensive because I did hire an editor. The other side of that, though, because I'm not a video editor and I didn't have that skill set, I had to hire somebody, which actually removed me from the production process. So I personally spend less time on the production week to week than I used to. And I think that's really compelling. Definitely more complex in general. And that does run the risk of, okay, if I lost my video editor or if he had life happen, what happens to the show? That puts me in a pretty difficult situation. It's difficult to keep the trains running on time. But with anything, you weigh the pros and cons against the lens that is your context, and you make a choice. And I decided to move forward in this way.